Welcome to the SwimSwam podcast. I'm your host, Coleman Hodges, and joining me today, I've got a very special guest. He is a World Championships medalist, a European Championships medalist, a World University Games champion. He is an 16-time NCAA All-American, and he is currently representing the Toronto Titans in Budapest for Season 2 of ISL. Please welcome Shane Ryan. Shane, how's it going, man?
Good. Doing well. Thanks for having me.
I just mentioned a whole bunch of stuff, and I want to get into all of that.
Yeah, of course.
And more. And so let's start out with where you're at right now. You know, you're in the ISL bubble with first year team Toronto Titans. You guys just had your first competition last week. How do you feel like it went so far?
It was definitely interesting because we didn't really know where people were, how people, just to be with like a team again, racing again, and just seeing people, like you never know who's going to throw out what, who's going to be in. But it was a great opportunity to race, and I mean, we did pretty well for like the unexpected. We were kind of like the underdogs, and no one knew where we were. So yeah, it was interesting to say the least.
Yeah. And you, in your very first ISL competition, you got to race the skins races. Tell me about that. What did you think of the skins?
The skins were good. I was really looking forward for it. And like my coach over in Ireland, we've been like kind of like training that. We're like multiple reps and doing swims like that, like back to back. So like I was fully prepared, but I mean in the skins and even in the 50, one little mistake can cost you. Like the first swim was like the easiest 50 backstroke I've ever swum in my entire life. And then I just missed my turn. I was just long my turn. And then that was it. I missed the time by like 0.2. And it was just, I mean, if you go back and look at it, I was just long on the turn, and that's what cost me, but it is what it is. But no, it was just an awesome experience just to be there and race. And like, now I know where I'm at. I'm much better spot where I'm at now, which is like going back, like I'm their main butterflyer now, which I just started picking that up. So I'm starting to learn how to swim butterfly like the right way and fast. So that's that. I hopefully can see that fly time like just drop significantly down. Even in the 100 backstroke, best time in the 100 backstroke. So like I'm still like learning, still getting faster, and I'm 26. So it's great.
You win a best time in the 100 back?
Yeah, it's a slow time. I don't know. I'm a little all over the place with the 100 back. It's a mental game for me sometimes with that, but just went in and just swam it. It was good. It was just the process, the way I swam it, but it was fun.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. Congrats.
Yeah,
you raced Ryan Murphy among other competitors in those skins races in the 100 back. You won the 100 back, and
I got second.
So I'm sorry. Irie won. You got second. Murphy got third. That it was an exceedingly tight race. What is it like being back in the pool with competitors that like Ryan Murphy, who you maybe haven't swum against since college or since other international meets, but now they're kind of all back in one place, and that level of competition is really, really high.
Oh, it's great. I thrive in it. I love it. It's so good. I've been looking forward for it for a very long time. And it's just great. I mean, it was like, I was so nervous, like absolutely so nervous, but also so excited to race. Cause like, I just didn't know how I was going to perform. And so, I mean, you just go in there with the thought process, and you just got to have fun because all the hard work's done. And like, we're still working hard. Like 2 days before, I was doing like heavy hang cleans, heavy squats. Even yesterday, like people are still training through this. Like I'm still training through this. So it's just about who can recover the fastest, who can nail the little things. and just be the best and get their hand on the ball and get points on the board, you know? But it's like, it's just so much fun, even though like, yeah, there's sometimes hurt, but like at the end of it, you just go warm down and then you're just so excited being in the call room. And like while you're behind the stage, there's smoke coming up. It's very, very cool.
Yeah, I mean, last year I got to be at a few ISL meets, and yeah, I mean, they were awesome environments to be a part of, especially just as a swim fan. But
Yeah.
sorry, I lost my train of thought a little bit. You mentioned, you know, you're a couple days before you're in the weight room doing heavy lifting. You know, I talk to a lot of the swimmers. They're putting in, you know, heavy yardage. They're doing real training, especially at this beginning part of the season. And then you said it's all about who can recover the best. And you know, it's interesting because these competition cycles are such quick turnaround that it's kind of like, you can't even call it like a mini taper, but it's, you know, it's kind of like you work hard for a few days and then you kind of back off for a few days. What's that process been like for you? Have you ever done anything quite like that before?
The only thing is, it's like, I guess like from Big Tens to NCAA's, it's like that's the closest thing I'll have to like to this basically, or the Mary Nostrum tour over in Europe, you know, where there's a couple meets like at like a week back to forth, like back to back basically. So it's like, I mean, you'll just do like a 2-day rest or a day rest, and then you just get up and go. And I've known from my past, like I actually do really well with like just having just that little bit of rest and then going to compete, because it's just like the more I race, for me, the better I get because I capitalize on the little things. My body gets used to racing at that you know, high quality. So I just become more comfortable in that environment. So, and I can recover really quickly as well. So my body is a completely different now than when it was at college. It's way better now, which is good. But yeah, it's just a different thought process, different way of doing things. Like I want to lift heavier. I want to do more in the water. And just do things like quality and all that stuff. So it's just things are just moving in the right direction. But yeah, it's just taking those little 2 days, 1 day rest before the meets and just get up and just go.
You mentioned your body has come a long way since college, and I did want to talk about that. You know, you're an NCAA All-American who swam for Penn State.
Yeah.
And you know, did you have that same philosophy of the more you raced in college, the better you would be? You know, dual meet after dual meet, or has that kind of come as a professional as you've aged over the last few years?
Definitely in college. I mean, it was a big difference between like my first 3 years of college was a bit weird because I didn't really know where I was. Like, you know, didn't know where, like, you know, it was just different then. And then like I got a little bit of a taste of the professional life when I moved to Ireland before the 2016 Olympics. So it's like I started doing like, you know, first time ever doing whey protein. It's like 6 months before the Olympics. Like focusing a little bit more on diet and like, you know, a little bit more things about that and learning more about myself as well. So like that was definitely a big thing. But then in my last year, I started really focusing on like the race plan, race meets, and trying to be like the top in the country for each dual meet, and just trying to see where more people were. I was more invested into the sport because I didn't really take swimming serious until I got into college, because I was like playing all these sports in high school until I was like, oh, colleges are looking at me. I probably should start taking swimming serious. And once I got to college, I started taking a little bit more, get to know my body a bit better. But yeah, no, it was like really my like last year where I started noticing like, oh wow, like I could actually do something. And then each year, the past 2 years have been a really big turnaround, especially during this whole COVID situation. I've actually kind of thrived through it a bit. And because like when Ireland got locked down, I lived by myself for 3 months, didn't see anybody. And all I did was lift for 3 hours, and that's it. Lift and bike for 3 hours almost every day. So I actually came out of quarantine a bit heavier. My muscle mass was up, my body weight was up. But then when I got back in the water, I was actually like really strong. But then we just hit the aerobic base, and everything has just been really well. Just having a good head on my shoulders from after all that.
No kidding. I mean, that certainly takes, you know, lifting and biking 3 hours a day in your apartment by yourself. Certainly, I mean, you know, that sounds like good work, but would take some mental stamina from my viewpoint.
Yeah.
What motivated you through that time? How did you get mentally, emotionally, without seeing anyone? Like, what got you through that time?
I just took it day by day. I mean, that's like the most important thing you can do. It's just like, what can you do today to make yourself better? So I was just like, all right, well, if I want to do an extra couple of sets of deadlifts, extra couple sets of bench, or go on an extra like 100K bike, like do it. Why not? So I would just have like The Office on or Brooklyn Nine-Nine off on the TV, and I'm just there just cycling, just trying to stay in shape, trying to keep that metabolic rate up and the aerobic base up, because we couldn't leave 2 kilometers past our house because there was checkpoints
Okay.
in Ireland where like you could get like fined or either arrested. Sometimes they were threatening that around. So they were pretty serious there. And like I live 4 kilometers from the pool, so it was really hard that the pool was right there, but I couldn't go swim in it. But no, I just took it day by day and just try to just stay positive, because it wasn't only me in that situation. Everybody else was in a bad situation as well. And what can I do today to make myself better than somebody else?
That is nuts that you were less than 3 miles away from the pool, but you couldn't go.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's like so frustrating. But you made it work, and
Yeah.
it seems like you made it work really well. I want
Yeah.
to, and which is really cool. So you mentioned you came out of quarantine, you got back into the aerobic base, and things kind of started clicking. Did you have races before this ISL meet to kind of get you on track and say, all right, I think I'm in a pretty good spot?
Yeah. So at the end of we had like a 10-week block when we got out of the water. Like Sport Island, like the pool I swim at is owned by the government. So it's kind of government controlled. So they worked really well with getting us back into the water sooner than a lot of other people in the world. So we had like a 10-week training block, and we raced at the very end of it. So we raced like short course and then long course. And that was at the end of August. Ended up going like 50.4 in the 100 fly, and I ended up being out like 22.7 out in that. So I was pretty happy about that. But that was the first time I ever swim in the 100 fly short course meters. So that was interesting. And then I ended up going like 24.5 in the 50 backstroke, which like I only like buzzed for me. I didn't shave, but like just buzzed. So I was ecstatic about that. Ended up doing the 2 free because I wanted to see where my aerobic pace was, like just like 2 free, which I'm a pure sprinter. I don't do the 2 free. Ended up going like 144.2 in the 2 free. So like I was actually, that's like okay for being a sprinter.
That's
And
pretty
then
good.
yeah, and then like being the 100 backstroke long course, I was 54.0. So like I was in a good spot. I was really happy about that. And then we just been like just doing a lot of sprints, a lot of like kind of like the skin style stuff, like 50, 25s. Like every 2 weeks we'll stand up and do like on a Thursday, put a suit on, and we just do a lot of speed work. But then like on some days we'll just do like, some long swimming. But like long swimming for me, like a long meet or a long practice would be like 3K or 3.5K. So it's like, it's not that much, but I go heavy in the gym. So that's where it makes it up.
That's right. 3K is long, but heavy in the gym. It all evens out.
It just works right now,
Yeah. Okay, I would like to contextualize that you went 144.2 in the short course meter tuner freestyle. That's faster than anyone has been long course in like the last, I don't know, 7 years.
Oh,
And that's pretty
sorry.
good.
This is short course,
Right.
144. Yeah.
Short course meters. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, like, no one's been that time long course in a while, and I think if you're a sprinter and you go that time short course, that's very respectable.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Because it's like I have like the Irish boys. They always go at me all the time. Like they just there's no safeguard with them, and they always be like, oh, like you can't do this, you can't do the 200, you can't do that. And I'm like, okay, well I'm gonna do it. And like I was 49, a pretty easy 49. Like it was a good pace. I was really happy with it. And it was just the process I'm swimming. I'm a little bit more mature now on how I've been swimming things. And my coach swimming things. And but yeah, I was delighted with that. I could be like, now I could just shove that back in their faces, be like, well, what happened? Where were you guys at in that 2 free?
Exactly. You've got some aerobic base, and it's even if it's only 3K a day, it's definitely showing.
Yeah.
And so it seems like you're in a good place now. I want to take it back. You said you didn't even take swimming that seriously until you got to college because you're playing all these other sports in high school. What other sports were you playing?
Oh boy. I was playing golf, volleyball, a little bit of basketball, soccer, and then what else was I? Oh, American football, and then I think that's it. But yeah, it was like mainly like volleyball was a big one for me. Golf was a big one for me. And then like American football, I like did that for like like my senior year just to piss off my swim coach. Running out, we had dry land outside behind our high school, and I just come running out in football pads, and he's just like, "What's going on?"
So it sounds like you stayed very active in
Yeah.
high school. What appealed to you about playing so many sports like that?
I don't know. My mom was a swim coach growing up, so she was my swim coach growing up. So it's like from middle school, played lacrosse as well. But I remember like in middle school and high school, I would just like play my school sport, go home, eat real quick, or eat in the car while my mom's driving us to practice, rushing as always, running late because that's just how it is, and going to swim practice. But my mom always said, like, you can play all the other sports, but you're always going to see swimming because you know how moms are somehow magically always right. She knew I had something special in swimming, so she kept me in it. And yeah, no, she was like, okay, now it's like probably time to start taking things serious because I was getting letters, like scholarships, like taking recruiting trips. And yeah, once I got to college, first time ever lifted, first time ever doing doubles, doing dry land, first time like people beating me in practice and stuff like that. So it was a big reality shock, and ended up like gaining 20 pounds just my freshman year. So that was a big shock.
I mean, so that's really interesting. You didn't swim full time until you get to college, and then, like you said, first time lifting, first time doing doubles. In high school, were you still kind of a sprinty guy who wasn't doing a ton of yardage, and did that shift when you did get to college?
Yeah, no, it's just like I always had like that raw speed. But I was like in high school, I'd be one of the kids being like, "Oh, I'm going to the bathroom," and then I'm running into the showers for like 15 minutes just to get out of like practice. So I was one of those kids, but like, oh, my shoulder, I need to get out and stretch this for a little bit. But yeah, no, I was one of those guys. But like, no, but like when it came time to race, I just raced. I remember my senior year, there was only 2 people in the whole country that were 19 seconds. It was me and John Murray, who ended up going to Texas.
Mhm.
So he was 19.91, I was 19.96, and we were the only 2. And I was like a 5,300 freestyle. And I think I was like the only one that year to drop under, and a 47.0 in the 100 backstroke. So it was like the speed was there, but I was just like, I just knew there was going to be a lot more. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm not burnt out right now at 26 and I'm still getting faster, because I just didn't really take it too serious. I didn't put a lot of mentally like, into it. Now I'm like starting to see a lot of benefits of it. And like, I'm in love going and training. I love working hard. And now I'm starting to see the results of it. And if I did that back then, maybe I might have burnt out, but I don't know. But I mean, I am where I am now. So it's great.
Yeah, and I mean, how much of a culture shock was getting to college for you? Was that a hard transition? Did you take pretty easily to that? And again, those first 3 years you said you weren't super tuned in, but did you still see a lot of growth from yourself during that period?
Of course. Yeah, I hit freshman year was really hard because it was the first time I ever experienced death in my family. Like my uncle passed away, and then like 2 months later, my grandfather passed away. So I was away a lot like the first semester. Then like because I was away and I thought like, oh, I'm a big swimmer, I'm good. I'll let Penn State will take care of me. I was ineligible my freshman year. So like I couldn't represent Penn State. I was like, oh, I might have to quit swimming. I don't know if they're going to kick me off the team. So I was ineligible. I couldn't swim. And honestly, I was the fastest freshman. I ended up going from like a 47.0 to a 45.6. And that would have been like third at NCAAs that year. And then ended up going like from like a 43.6 to like a 42.4 in the 100 free, and going like from 19.9 to 19.5. And that's just all within like 8 months of training with Penn State. So it's like, it was really hard for me to kind of like go through that, but I learned. I was rock bottom, and like, I had nowhere else but up. So I started asking for help, got my like, basically my shit together, and things got my school in line, ended up making dean's list for the next 3 semesters. And then that also helped me gain more confidence in swimming into my sophomore year, where I ended up becoming like, Big Ten swimmer of the year my sophomore year, and ended up getting like the Big Ten record in the 100 backstroke, or in the 100 freestyle actually. So it was like my sophomore year was good. And then my junior year, I had a hard time struggling with that. And then I moved off to Ireland. So yeah, I learned a lot, and like I learned a lot like from the mental side and the hard work and putting in the hard work. So it was all up and down, but definitely had the way it went. I'm happy that it did, because I learned a lot about myself.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds like a journey. You have the peaks and the valleys, and I think a lot of kids can relate to having that kind of a growth period during those years for sure. But
it was interesting, but I mean, it was hard, but I got through it though. You just have to ask for help, and I did, and that's now where I'm at. I have a degree from Penn State.
That's simple but sage, just ask for help. And I mean, a lot of times it works. We've covered it, and obviously you represent Ireland now, but can you give me a brief synopsis of just what went into you moving to Ireland, deciding to represent them internationally, especially because before that you had been on the U.S. national team?
Yeah. So the whole process was, I have always had my dual citizenship. Like my dad is from Ireland, and he is 1 out of 10. So big Irish family, and he's the only one living in the States. So we've always had that connection. Even on my mom's side, she's 1 out of 10, another big Irish family, but she was born and raised in the States. And then her grandparents are from Ireland as well. So like my name's Shane Patrick Ryan. Like you can't get more of an Irish name than that. And then, so my mom always had that I always had my dual citizenship. She always had that in her back pocket, like there is like, you might be able to do this. So ended up representing, Team USA in 2013, doing the pool, going through my sophomore year, ended up missing the national team in 2015. And then I was like, you know what? Like an opportunity just came up. I don't know I really don't know, because it was such a fast transition. I made a decision in a week and a half just to drop everything from Penn State, move my life to Ireland, and then that was it. Like it was just so quick. I just finished all my finals, literally went home for 2 days, and then I was off. So we just got in contact with Swim Ireland, and they just took care of everything. They helped me get like, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to sign. This, and this, and this. So I had to move over to Ireland for residency for a whole year. And that was really hard. That was really, really hard for me, because I'm going from Penn State with 50,000 undergrad students and a big party life, and also with just having, school and stuff like that. And also like with the team atmosphere. And I moved to a house that's on a campus that has like farm fields in it. And I basically lived by myself, because the other people that were in the house with me went to school or had a job. All I was doing was training. I had 50 euros to my name, a bike, and I lived on a campus in an old moldy house. So it was really, really hard for me. So like I was a little depressed back then. I remember just like sleeping just to pass time, because it's just like I had nothing else to do. So it was really, really hard for me to go through that But luckily I had my family there every weekend. I was able to go and see my family and reconnect with them because I haven't seen them in a while. So I had to go play golf with them down the weekends, and then I would just train hard and I would live for the weekends, which isn't the greatest way to live, but I got through that. And, Swim Ireland made it so easy for me to transition it. They had every opportunity you can go to, but I wasn't able to represent Ireland for a whole year. The first time I was ever able to represent Ireland was in 2016 European. It was like the first day of that was the first day I was able to represent a lot about myself, and it was really how mentally tough can I do this? Like, can I really do this? And I ended up losing a lot of weight. I ended up like losing about like 15, 20 pounds, and it was real skinny. But no, I ended up getting through that, and then the rest is history.
That's a really cool story. And that makes me understand a lot more how you were able to get through quarantine.
Yeah. Oh, quarantine was a piece of cake.
Nice. I mean, yeah, like it's a lot different being alone when you're in your late 20s than being alone when you're 21 years old and
Exactly.
used to 50,000 undergrads, heavy party life, big full school life, full team. Like you said, yeah, that's a big contrast. And
it was a shock. It was a big shock. And like, I had to cook for myself a lot more. So I had to like learn about nutrition and all that stuff. I mean, they definitely provided a lot of things, but for me, it was very hard for me going from that culture setting to a more professional setting. Was hard, but I got through it, and I would, if I had an opportunity to do it again, I would 100% do it again.
Yeah. And which is reassuring, because it seems like you have been successful in this environment since representing Ireland. You've won 4 international medals at World Champs, European Champs, World University Games. You went back and finished your degree at Penn State. And since then, have you lived in Ireland?
So I ended up, after I finished my degree in 2017, I ended up moving down to Auburn, Alabama for about 6 months there to go train with Sergio Lopez and Brett Halk, which was great. And then Sergio ended up moving up to Virginia Tech. So I ended up following up Sergio up to Virginia Tech and worked with Albert Subi and Sergio. And then after 2018 Worlds, I ended up moving back to Ireland. And I love training there with Sergio and Albert, moving, but it was just a lot of moving things going on. And it was just a lot more that was happening down there. But then I decided to move to Ireland again before the Olympics, because our director wanted us to us be there, us have a national center, Dublin, which we have now. We have a new head coach, or then we did Ben Hickson he's a British coach, but he's from Stirling, Scottish coach. And it was hard the first year trying to connect things and see how things go. But I mean, you're going to go through a little bit of a rough patch when you move from a different program from like Sergio to something a bit more professional. But it was just, there was a lot going on both sides. So, but no, the past year and a half, we've really, after Worlds in 2019, that was one of my worst meets I've ever had. And it wasn't just was not in a good spot. It took me a while to kind of get my mind ready, but really after that, I just said that's enough of this, and really worked on myself and worked with my coach as well. And kind of talked to my coach more about how I'm feeling and what I thought was good. What do you think? And so it was we have a really constructive relationship now where things are just clicking, and we don't really have any barriers on what we think and what we say to each other, because it's all constructive and it's all to make me better. Even though if he's given out at me, which he does sometimes, I can be a little dumb sometimes in the water. It's all because he's trying to make me better. And it's great because things are just working out really, really well. I'm at the best shape of my life, the best mental state of my life. And I'm swimming really well right now. And I can't wait to see what else I have in the future now.
I mean, take me there. Take me to 2019 Worlds. What didn't go right for you at that meet, or what what hadn't clicked leading up to it?
Yeah, no, I mean, I moved over and like 10 weeks after I ended up like, qualifying for the Olympics, got the A standard, but I wasn't qualified for the Olympics because Ireland has their own standards. And it was just, the 100 back is a really mental game for me. Really, really is. I don't know why. It just is. So I had a lot of pressure on myself. I just also was really heavy, really, really heavy. So I was about like 99 kg, which is like 230 pounds, 225 pounds, which like, but it wasn't really good. I was like 13% body fat. Like I was a thick boy. I was big. Even like my friends, they were like, Shane, like you're big. So I was like, okay. So I was trying to swim like I was like 205 pounds or something like that. And it just wasn't working. I just felt heavy, never had any speed. And I swam slow. It's just simple as that. I just swam slow. I just felt down about myself. And I put a lot of hard pressure on myself as well. And like things just weren't working out in training and also my nutrition. Like I had a nutritionist tell me I had to take like 2 serious mass shakes a day, which each one's about 1,200 calories, and then also 3 meals. So like I was eating a lot, and just
I see
sometimes,
where the serious mass came from.
oh my God, yeah, the serious mass. So I was just a big boy, and I was just like, yeah, I'm 6'6", but like I just didn't feel right. It just didn't feel like I was moving weight. So I ended up like taking nutrition in my own hands. I got my head coach to help me because he's in really good shape too, and he was a swimmer as well. So I asked him for his help. So like, slowly but surely things were starting to move, and now I'm way lighter. I'm like 105, 205 pounds, 210 pounds, and I'm strong, way stronger, way leaner, feel way better in the water. And it was just because of nutrition, my mental state, getting the training right that fits for me. But like we did train a lot more back then, but all that aerobic base that I used to do didn't go anywhere. I still have it, which is showing up now. I'm not going all out in my hundreds and then just dying at the end. I'm actually like coming home on my hundreds now. So it was a lot of hard work between my coach and I, but we finally got it down, and I'm a great situation right now, great spot.
That's awesome, man. That's
Yeah.
really really great to hear. And so let's bring it back to now. What are you
Yeah.
looking forward to these next couple of weeks? Getting all of this short course racing in.
hmm So for me, it's like I love racing short course because of like my starts and underwaters. It's great. But it's just about maintaining and going in with like the thought process like of how am I going to swim this race. It's not about how fast I'm going to go. It's about the process and swimming it. And that's like one good thing that my coach really got stuck in my head about the process of swimming. What am I going to be doing? Okay, do a start, 8 kicks off this wall, about 9 strokes to turn here, boom, to get off, 8 kicks off that wall, and then try to just make it simple, make swimming simple, which is great. But right now, we've had that first meet, so that was a bit of a shock. My legs, I've been doing a lot, like trying to get my legs stronger. My legs have definitely got bigger, so I had issues with suit sizes. I'm a big Mizuno fan. I love the Mizuno suits, and I always will rep them. I'm usually a large in it, but my legs a little bit bigger because I've been doing a lot more like fly were like purple. My legs were purple because of how tight the suit was, and I just didn't expect my legs to be that big. I was like, oh no, do I have to go an extra large now? So we ended up trying to get that sorted, but no, I was just really happy with how I swam there. But now we have the end of the meets. We have a 2-day race, 2 days to recover, 2-day race, 2 days to recover, and then the 2-day race. So all that is just fine tuning, making sure you're recovering, like getting a protein shake after almost every other swim or after the end. It's all about who's going to recover the fastest and who's going to step up and try to get their hand on the wall first. So that's all I'm going to do. But like, I'm good at that kind of stuff. I'm good at getting up and racing because I enjoy it. I can recover fast, and it's just fun.
Uh, I mean, yeah, I've talked to a few. I know Louise Hansen, another Toronto Titan. I
Yeah.
talked to her, and yeah, she was telling me that schedule is like that can't be right. And then I looked, I was like, nope, you're totally right. That's
Yeah.
insane.
I don't know why they scheduled it like
I don't,
like
I don't
come
understand
on.
either.
Like,
I mean, I know
it is what it is.
it is what it is. I know that they were originally scheduling the finale to be in December sometime, and then that switched to being in Budapest, so they had to move everything up. But yeah, that's going to be wild. But I hope that goes well. Shane, any parting thoughts before we sign out?
No, I think I covered everything. Just thank you again for having me on. Appreciate it.
You've been listening to the SwimSwam podcast. Stay tuned for new episodes every week. You can take SwimSwam podcast on the go by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. Look for links in the description below, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos as well.